I feel like we have this wonderful private channel to the wines of David Rebourgeon. And I don't know how, actually. It's really cool, just right place, right time, you know people. You do your research, you taste wines, you figure out who the hot young guys are, you kind of channel in on them a little bit. And in this case, we are so lucky to have the opportunity to work with these wines because David Rebourgeon is one of the greatest winemakers in Burgundy working today. There, I said it. And that is not BS. This is legit. He is one of the greatest winemakers and grape growers working in Burgundy today. Now, part of it is the raw materials. It's the family's had the property forever. And it's special when you own the dirt forever. And you own very special dirt. And you can have very old vines. And David is extremely passionate. He knows what to do with these wines. And getting back to it, the style here is so effing Burgundian. You know, there's a lot of folks that make, oh, this is a signature da-da-da style of wine. Oh, this is a signature, oh, that guy made that wine. It's obvious, you can tell, et cetera, et cetera. With David's wines, they just taste like great friggin' Burgundy. And that's kind of what we want. And he delivers that. Boy, does he deliver it. This is Bourgogne Rouge, Cuvée de Maison Dieu. I butchered that. Thank you. A lot of Americans are like, wow, he speaks French. You're so French. Ugh, that was a car wreck right there. Anyway, David's Bourgogne Rouge is special. Actually, all his wines are special. His Clos de Charmat, 125-year-old vines. His Grand Epinot, one of the greatest wines produced in Pommard. We sell it. You should buy some. And it's, yeah, we'll get to the price in a minute. He's brilliant. But I guess there's a problem. He's based in Pommard, which, you know, in Pommard, a lot of folks, Americans know Pommard, but there's also this, hey, that's Pommard. There's, they know exactly what it is. They know it's great Burgundy, but there's also this, this reticence with Pommard-based growers. And I think because of the severity of Pommard wines in the past, a lot of Pommards were a bit angry, you know, in the 70s and the 80s, even into the 90s. The wines were a bit aggressive, a bit tannic, a bit burly, and they hurt. What has happened in Pommard in the last 30 years with a bunch of great vignerons coming into Pommard, along with climate change, is that you get kinder, gentler wines from this area, from this Pommard zone. And people are like, whoa, these wines are good. And it's like, well, yeah, because now that potential of this terroir is getting fully exploited from a climate standpoint, from a winemaking standpoint, and from a grape growing standpoint. Now, why am I talking about Pommard when this just says Bourgogne Cuvée de Maison Dieu? Well, that's Burgundy for you, kids. Fact of the matter is, Maison Dieu, the vineyard, is just on the other side of the line of Pommard, right? So Pommard adjacent. And actually right next door to the very famous Chateau de Pommard, which if you've been to Burgundy, any of you have been to Burgundy, and you headed south from Beaune, you drove past the Chateau de Pommard. You can't miss it. David's Bourgogne vineyards are right next to the Chateau de Pommard. They are basically Pommard level. These are Pommard level vineyards. Now he has younger vines that were planted 10, 12 years ago, but a lot of the bulk of the plantings are probably 50 plus years old now in this vineyard. And it is a gorgeous site. It's one of those sites that also looks fancy. When you're driving on the main road, oh, is that? And it's like, no, it's just Bourgogne. Oh, really? I don't know, kind of looks, you know, it's one of those deals. This is special gear. He's a rock star. He really is a rock star. If he was in Vosne Romanée, you know, this wine would be like $70. You know what I'm saying? The village, the location, also getting back to it a little bit, the location also kind of puts a little capper on what you can and can't charge, you know. In Vosne, since it's like, oh, the vineyards are next to Vosne Romanée, well, you can charge $70. When you're in Pommard, less than half that. Perfumey cherries, perfectly ripe cherries, not overripe cherries. This isn't a replay of 2020 which, while hedonistic and beautiful and delicious, and God, I love the wines, they're such a joy to drink. This is more, as the French say, fresh and brighter, even though it was still a pretty warm year. Big yields were the key. The yields here, as David noted, in 2021, I got half a crop. In 2022, I got 1.5 crops. That's okay with Pinot Noir. We get so stuck on yield and hectoliters per hectare, and it's almost like a 90s or 2000s philosophy. I might make my Pinot Noir black. The yields were 1 bottle per 20 vines. We have to get away with that from Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir is finesse, it's brightness, it's energy, it's transparency, it's conveyance of terroir. You can crop Pinot at a decent yield and make beautiful Pinot Noir. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to, this Domaine Loire, 13 hectoliters per hectare. I mean, half our vines are dead. But, we have to get away from that a little bit. And actually a lot of Burgundy is. Yield control isn't necessarily too high anymore. Too low can also be a problem. So somewhere in the middle, Pinot Noir, a happy vine, it's just right. And these wines taste like, all these vines are like, thank you, David, my yield is just right. Earth, spice, cherries, effing Burgundy. And on the finish, you got a little fantail of tannin that lets you know you're in Pommard territory. I like that. That it kind of, the tannin structure in this wine seals the deal. But the tannins aren't heavy. They're not dry. They're not obtrusive. But they are there, as opposed to some areas like in Beaune, et cetera, where the wine will have almost no tannin at all, which, hey, that's fun too. But getting back to terroir, this little fantail of tannin on the finish of this wine lets you know you're dealing with old vines, lets you know you're dealing with Pommard adjacent. Almost a lick of salt in there. God. It's a wine that makes you hungry. I'm drinking this, I'm like starving right now. Ugh, gorgeous. Okay, so getting back to the price thing. We're in Pommard, we're not in Vosne-Romanée. So this wine, one of the top Bourgogne Rouge we've tasted from the vintage so far, from one of the top producers in Burgundy working today, hands down, is $29. 29 bucks. That is borderline untouchable. Although, us, we do tend to touch that more often than a lot of other folks because we're honestly pretty damn good at what we do. So we will touch this on this price point and quality again when we don't know. But for the meantime, enjoy this amazing bottle of Pinot Noir from the great Burgundy region of France from big dog, rockstar, superstar producer David Rebourgeon. Absolutely gorgeous wine, $29, only 20 cases. Get some.